I would like to invite all those folks that may be in the lobby or came for 11 o'clock service that happen to be in Fellowship Hall, if you can hear me from the kitchen, it's time to come upstairs for worship. Blessings on this beautiful Sunday morning. Isn't it gorgeous out there? I am so grateful that you are here with us. Welcome to Beacon Unitarian Universalist Congregation and Summit, here on the ancestral lands of the Ramapo Lenape people. Together, we create a force more powerful than one person or one belief system. Unitarian Universalists, past, present, and future, are in covenant with the web of life, and is expressed deeply through our shared values of interdependence, pluralism, justice, transformation, generosity, and equity, all centered around love. Thank you for being a part of this covenantal community. And if you're joining us online, please introduce yourself and say hello in the chat. My name is Jermaine Cripe. I am a plus-size African-American woman wearing a black dress, blue glasses, and my green shoes today. And I have a few announcements to make. We have returned to 2 services, if you haven't noticed, so welcome to the 11 o'clock service. But the other is at 9:30, so wherever you feel moved, if you've got a schedule change, don't skip out. Come to the earlier or the later one. We'd love to see you. And if you can't, online is always an option at 11 a.m. After worship this morning, and actually you saw it from before worship if you went down to Fellowship Hall, we are having coffee and conversation and connections with our Connection Fair, which is where you can learn more about Beacon and our small groups, our community initiatives, and learn about the gatherings and ways in which you can participate. All Beacon beloveds are welcome, those new and old. And we invite you to connect with your folks. If you haven't been around in a while, you will not be sorry for it. Finally, I want to extend a special welcome and thank you to Jackie Jones and John Arneal, our fabulous musicians this morning, who are sharing their musical talent with us. On a personal note, this community held me and my family as we began navigating our grief after my younger sister unexpectedly passed away last week. It has been an incredibly difficult task to walk, but the cards and emails, the chats, the soup, I got soup, of all the people in this community that rallied around me, made me really feel connected and loved, so thank you all very much for that. And my friends, especially the new ones, if you are longing for the place where they can call you beloved, where warm voices know the pain you're bearing, and hold you until the rhythm of your life steadies, I'm honored to tell you that this is that place. Thank you for being here. And may we respond today and always with courage, compassion, and with love as we worship together. Welcome to Beacon.
Good morning, beloved. I'm Reverend Robin. My pronouns are she, her. I am an average height white woman, and I am wearing a green dress to match Jermaine's green shoes this day. Just kidding. We don't pre-plan those things. Only sometimes. And it is my joy to invite someone to kindle the light of our faith, which might sound intimidating. What it means is I'm going to invite you to light the candle that is in front of me. Does anyone want to light our chalice this day? I see someone. Yes, come on. Okay, Lonnie, I'm going to give you that. Here you go. Great job. You did it. And then you can blow that one out. Great. Thank you, Lonnie. Light calls unto light, beloved. And the waters of the ocean, they move within our own bodies. At the equinox in the northern hemisphere, we are called now into balance and being again. Being present to the beauty and yes, even the brutality in our world. I invite you to be present with me, present to the love and the loss. Being present to the hope that is rising like this flame and the despair which may be heavy at this moment. So we kindle this flame of our faith, which we affirm in this moment, in this time, in our hearts and in our lives, is light enough to illuminate the way forward.
Joyous greetings, everyone. We invite you to stand and rise as you are able. We do hymn 21, For the Beauty of This Earth. Oh
Good Sunday, Beacon. My name is Kit Stinson, she, her, and I have the pleasure of serving as your chaplain today. Except for my burgundy-colored chaplain stole, I am all in white from the top of my head to the toes of my shoes. I'm dressed this way because I remembered that last year around this time, Reverend Jay preached on the topic, "Who says you can't wear white after Labor Day?" In other words, who makes these arbitrary rules about how we're supposed to live? Speaking as a chaplain, these so-called rules are not helpful. There's guilt when we don't follow them, feelings of failure when our lives don't look the way we think they're supposed to. Talking to a chaplain can help. Chaplains aren't just here for major life events. Day-to-day life can be overwhelming too. And we understand how hard it can be just to be human, and what a relief it can be to have someone beside you to listen. If you'd like to be matched with a chaplain, please speak with Reverend Robin, Reverend Jay, or any of the chaplains, some of whom have started to wear their chaplain stoles during services so that you'll be able to make friends and talk to them. Today, we light, if I could ask for some help, thank you, Robin. I know you have nothing else going on today, Robin. Today, we light a candle of welcome for Dr. Wendsler Nosie and support for the Apache Stronghold as they fight to protect the sacred site of Oak Flat. We light a candle of solidarity for the climate marchers from Christchurch Summit and for all champions of climate justice on this beautiful blue boat home. For these things and whatever you are carrying today, I invite you to come forward now and magnify the light here in the sanctuary or wherever you are.
Good morning. My name is Dana Moore. I use she, her pronouns, and I am in my beacon blue today with a beautiful fall scarf around my neck. It is an honor to invite you into this responsive reading. It is called My Help is in the Mountain. I invite you to take your gray hymnals and turn to reading 552 to read this together. I will read the regular type font, and I invite you to respond in the italicized font. And again, that is 552. My help is in the mountain, where I take myself to heal the earthly wounds that people give to me. So I must stay for a long time until I have grown from the rock. Then I know that nothing touches me, nor makes me run away.
My help is in the mountain that I take away with me.
Help is in the mountain that I take away with me. Anyone need a mountain this morning? I could use one. Maybe we can create one together. Would you breathe with me and join in a time of meditation, of listening, of centering? I see some of you are already grounding feet to the floor and opening hands on your lap, perhaps closing your eyes, or maybe setting your gaze on our candles, or somewhere in the room, in the sanctuary, where you can soften your gaze. Let us begin with that breath as we draw this mountain to us. As you draw on this breath, I invite you to imagine in your body that there are roots that extend through your feet, down past the floor of the sanctuary, deep into the earth. Almost like an umbilical cord through your heart center, down into your root chakra, through your feet. In your mind's eye, bring your awareness to that connection. Here, as you do so, perhaps you feel a rhythm, a song of the earth, a beat that is maybe paced by your own heartbeat, or the slow inhale of your breath and exhale. Sense this ancient rhythm, this reassurance. This presence. Here we take in the breath of ancestors
whose lives were exemplars, who shone a great light. Here we too acknowledge humbly that we take in the breath of ancestors who veiled the light they were given. Here we take in the breath of all living beings, of the raven and the blue jay, of the smallest fungi and the gray wolf, of the exhale of oaks and maples into our being now. And here with this breath, even as pain quivers, even as grief washes, even as worry mounts, here too, we are basked in the light of this gift, this breath. Your life, this moment together. And somehow at the edge of this equinox, in the midst of the hard and the impossible, we breathe this gift. And maybe just for this moment, it is enough. It is enough. It is enough. Connected and woven into this mysterious and loving earth, we give thanks for the light, for the air, for the darkness, for the nurture, for the breath, for the ancestors, for the circle of beings who invite us into the dance. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Amen.
thank you for that breath of refreshment and song. There's something profound that happens when your child can introduce himself as Superman and be met with genuine delight rather than judgment. When your daughter enters a new classroom and is immediately embraced by someone who sees her light. When the prayers you whispered during pregnancy, that your child would be loved unconditionally wherever they go, without reason. Something profound happens when that actually comes true. This is what I discovered when I found Unitarian Universalism in 2014, and what I want to share with you today. I had prayed that my children would be welcomed and loved wherever they went, not for what they achieved, but simply for the light they carried within them. In our Unitarian Universalist communities and denomination, that prayer came true for me. I knew when I first found UU that I could make a home here. But I didn't become a member in a congregation until 2020. In fact, it was February, just before the world had shut down, that I decided I wanted to make a commitment. I wasn't sure if I could make a financial contribution that would be meaningful, but I recognized after 6 years it was time. I was prepared for all that community brought, but I wasn't prepared for the grace that followed when I officially joined. The constant feeling of joy, the knowledge that I was not alone, and the tears of joy when meals were delivered after my husband took a fall. Not because I asked, but because this is who we are as a community. And in the throes of the pandemic, I learned that I could contribute in more ways than just financial. And that made my heart swell as well. Our UU community here at Beacon is more than just a place that we attend. It's a place where you belong. We are radically inclusive because we believe every person carries sacred worth. We work to feed the human spirit and heal the world because we understand that our individual flourishing is connected to the well-being of all. Here, your children will be celebrated for exactly who they are. Here, your questions will be honored alongside your faith. And here you will find people ready to walk alongside you through both joys and challenges. I want to invite you to lift your voices yet again. If you are visiting for the first time, I invite you to repeat after me, I appreciate this space you have built. If you are already a member here, I invite you to make another commitment and repeat after me, I am committed to building this beloved community. And if you are ready, in need or seeking community and the blessed grace that comes with it, I invite you to say aloud, silently in your heart, or in a conversation with Reverend Robin, I am ready to be embraced by community. All of you is welcome here. All that you have to give, all that you have to offer. Our morning offering will now be gratefully received.
don't be afraid of the dark in your heart. You're gonna find a way to carry the weight of the world on your shoulder. You're gonna find a way. Don't be afraid of the dark. You're gonna find your way. You're gonna find your way. You're gonna find your way. You're gonna find a way home.
Thank you so much, Jackie and John. It's wonderful to have you back here with us. And I think I'm getting a little bit of feedback on my mic. For as long as we know of religion and what people designated as sacred, we know that it was intimately tied with the earth. My Help is in the Mountain from Nancy Wood today is but one passage that actually echoes an older passage in the Bible. This is one in a long legacy of understanding that the earth is sacred, and that as our sacred mother, as our source, we are interdependent. Sages and prophets draw into deserts and mountains. We are told of great journeys along water and the power of the seasons' shifts. Written across time, we have wondered at the earth, and the more we learn, the more we see the patterns and reflections in our own beings. We know it to be true that we are made of stardust and the cellular reflections of the ocean's pools. What we do unto the earth, therefore, we do unto ourselves. Unitarian Universalists come from spiritual ancestors like the Transcendentalists, who understand the power and sacred place that the earth held in knowing and discernment. Our temples and churches, you see, were not only sanctuaries like the one in which we now sit, but Mother Earth herself. As our own Beacon member, Helen Kerr, and I didn't know you would be here, Helen, has told us, even the pillars of this sanctuary are designed to evoke the sacred oak grove. If you take a moment to look at those pillars, and maybe for those of you on the live stream, Lux can help us find a zoom in on the pillars. There's something more, of course, because contemporary Unitarian Universalists include pagans and those who are earth-centered in their rituals. And among our values that we have clarified and deepened most recently as an entire denomination include interdependence. We know that there is wisdom in the earth, both in her cycles but also in her reaction to our actions. It is impossible for us to cause harm to the earth and not harm ourselves. Interdependence. This is the essence of what the evil we are fighting attacks, and the great lie that it tells us. That we can cut off some people as less than human and the earth as a source of our profit and use for capitalist gains. This evil tells us to separate ourselves, ignore the signs, shut down our empathy and our sense that there is a pain quaking in the very earth. It tells us we can be independent of one another, of living beings, of our source. It separates and silos us in the sin of isolation, and that is how we are destroyed. For well over 25 years, the Apache Stronghold have fought to protect their sacred land, Oak Flat, from copper mining. In 2014, Senator John McCain added a rider to a defense bill, a loophole, an unusual and surreptitious way to make it possible to transfer Oak Flat to a multinational copper mining company with holdings in companies including a significant Chinese holding. Again and again, the Apache Stronghold defended their land and shared its significance in their religion, in their ritual, in the ceremony of young girls coming of age, in history, in culture. It is also in Oak Grove, just 2 hours outside of Phoenix, with an incredible ground source of water. It is sanctuary to unbelievable wildlife. And this mining company proposes to turn this sacred place, this oak grove, whose acorns are used in ceremony, whose trees shelter the birds and other wildlife. They propose to turn this sacred place into a 2-mile crater. They would pollute the waters that sustain this oak grove and the air. They would devastate the local communities. They would increase the chance of fire not only in that area, but all the way to Phoenix, which already suffers from severe drought. And no more would the young girls coming of age be able to have their ceremonies. We would not dare decimate the Sistine Chapel, would we? Or level Mount Sinai. Many of us wept when Notre Dame burned, but Oak Flat's decimation has gotten very little notice. And yet this place is sacred not only for the Apache, but for over 500 other tribes who are in coalition and lifting up the importance of Oak Flat in their stories, in their religion, in their culture, in their practice. The Apache have taken suit with the government, and it has gone all the way to the Supreme Court, guided by the principles of religious freedom, and they have been joined by major denominations, among them the Episcopal Church, our denomination, the Unitarian Universalist Association, the Presbyterian Church, the Mennonites, and on and on. And when you go to Oak Flat, as I have many times over the last decade, you meet people from all over the world and all different religions who are drawn to this sacred place that eludes description and exact mystical pinpointing, but you feel it. Now you might be asking, well, yes, Robin, that's a terrible story, and I'm very sorry, but what does Oak Flat, all the way in Arizona, have to do with me here in New Jersey? It's a fair question. But I think there's another question we need to ask before we can answer that one. How do you know if something is sacred? As Unitarian Universalists, how do we know if a place or an object or a person or a living being is sacred? We don't all believe in God here or the exact sources of mystery, and we probably don't all agree on even what the word sacred means. And yet, as Unitarian Universalists, we construct the sacred somehow through our community, our values, our worship, which simply means to consider what is of worth, and by our behaviors. When we come into the sanctuary, for example, we agree through behaviors that are somehow different than we exercise maybe in other places, that this is a sacred place. We make it sacred also by the particular rituals that we only share in this place, dedicating our children, marrying beloveds, releasing and celebrating our ancestors in celebrations of life. And because of those rituals and the moments of community and our agreements that we make again and again, we have made this place sacred. So much so that someone can come on their first Sunday, and it has happened many times, and walked into this place and said, I can feel this is a sacred place. So it is with Oak Flat. And when you think about it, if our government can trample the religious freedom of the Apache to say that Oak Flat is not sacred, despite their discerning as a community, despite the rituals and the practices, the ceremony and the culture held there, well, then doesn't the whole argument kind of collapse? You see, freedom of religion was not created to protect the government from religion. It was created to protect a diversity of religions in a democracy from governmental abuses. Separation of church and state was designed to protect the government from religious influence and control by one religion, but freedom of religion was designed in the wake of governments that had chosen one religion to use and abuse the people. And if the government gets to tell any people what is sacred in their religion and what is not sacred, well, then it is abundantly clear that what is happening in Oak Flat is a direct threat to our religious freedom here and now in New Jersey. Because we know what our present leaders are choosing to be real religion, don't we? It's called Christian nationalism. It's not my religion or your religion. It's certainly not the pacifism and principled practices of Christ Church, a Christian community just down the street from us, where Dr. Wendsler Nosie just offered a blessing. It is a twisted perversion of Christianity. It is a capitalist racist machine that seeks control and takeover. So why does Oak Flat matter to us here and now in New Jersey? If the government can occupy the sacred spaces of the Apache and sell them off to companies owned by other countries, then could they not try to occupy our sacred space here? Wait a minute. That sounds familiar. Wasn't this sanctuary once a designated, sensitive, safe, sacred place where people of all backgrounds, including any documentation, could come for refuge and worship, that is, to consider what is of worth, to come for protection? Wasn't this space once considered by our government sacred simply because we called it so, and it was a sanctuary? And hasn't our government already tried to rip the sacred designation that we declare off this sanctuary? Hasn't our government already occupied D.C. and Chicago and Los Angeles and Memphis and terrorized people such that the sacred communities and places are closing their services because their people cannot come to worship safely or leave from their worship places without fear of masked men in unmarked vehicles grabbing these members of community out of sacred places that have been deemed sacred by those communities' discernment and declaration in their right to religious freedom, and kidnapping and disappearing them to unknown locations where their families and attorneys cannot find them? Hasn't this already happened, that our government is sending letters to denominations, including ours, the Unitarian Universalist Association, questioning if we are a real religion? So what does Oak Flat have to do with Summit, New Jersey? Everything. Everything. And isn't it true that the leaders in this land are consistently telling us that some people don't matter? And therefore, it would seem to me that no one would matter to them, and that all people and all sacred places and all beings are always second to prophet. And don't we believe that all people, whether they are Apache or Unitarian Universalists or Christian or Buddhist or atheist, are inherently sacred? And isn't this supposed to be a land where we are free? Not occupied and terrorized and gaslit? And how can you hurt the earth? How can you cut the earth open? Put a crater where there is an oak grove and not expect that cut to go right to our own souls. So what does Oak Flat have to do with Summit, New Jersey? Everything. We are called, beloved, to be that beacon we declare ourselves to be a people who shine a light on the evil that is threatening all of us everywhere right now. We are called to stop separating ourselves. As Terry Tempest Williams says, our kinship with earth must be maintained. Otherwise, we will find ourselves trapped in the center of our own paved-over souls with no way out. We cannot cut ourselves off, but must feel that rhythm that we felt in the meditation. Must open ourselves, yes, to the pain. Must move our private grief that we stuff down each and every day as someone says, "How are you doing?" And we say, "I'm okay." And none of us, if we're living and awake, are okay right now. And we take that grief, and this is the power of community. Community can say, our grief is sacred, and transform it into mourning. And mourning becomes lament, and lament becomes prophecy. And prophecy becomes action. And action becomes truth-telling, and truth-telling becomes light. And this evil cannot survive our light. So, beloved, do not go silently into some fascist, demonic night. Do not be quiet and think your silences will save you, or that somehow you can be spared, separated, siloed from what is happening. Because all we have left now is our truth. Oak Flat is Summit. The Apache struggle is our struggle. And the sacred rootedness of our existence and connection, it calls us not to sever ourselves lest we fall into nothingness. So if it hurts, if it's hard, if it's terrifying, it's time to shine a light on this evil, to show it for what it is. It is time to go back to our ancient stories, that umbilical cord that roots us into Mother Earth, to learn the first chapter of the founding of this country. It is past time to learn, to open ourselves to the spiritual education, and to fight and to not stop until that air of our ancestors no longer inhabits our lungs. Because, beloved, that is the only choice worth living right now. Shine this light. Together let us see. what a beacon could do. Together, let us see. Against the lies that we can't make a difference, against the lies that all is lost, against the lies that we are alone and powerless. Together instead. Together. Let us see what a beacon could do. Amen?
All right, thank you, Reverend Dr. Robin, for that powerful, powerful message. So we're going to shine our light right now and sing hymn 131, Love Will Guide Us. Rise as you are able. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us. Peace has tried us. Hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. Okay, we're going to pick it up right here. We're going to sing Love Will Guide Us one more time. Love will guide us. Peace has tried us. Hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. Just one more time. Love will guide. Love will guide us. Peace has tried us. Hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard nights. Yay for love.
Beloved, I invite you to take hands for our closing blessing, and do stay after 1 p.m. Dr. Wendsler Nosie Sr. has come all the way from Arizona to be here with us to share the story and the call in this moment. He's going to offer us his words right back here in the sanctuary, and downstairs we've got some food for you, so you can go get some food and come back up. Feel that connection hand to hand. And perhaps here, just as you rooted to earth, feel that interdependence. And if you need courage, well, ask your neighbor for some courage this day, hand to hand. And if you need hope, maybe despair is heavy, ask your neighbor for some hope today. And if you need some love in a world that feels like it has squeezed the love out of you, maybe ask your neighbor for a little pulse of love this day. And if you need some light, well, ask your neighbor to remind you that that light within you is shining right now. And together with this courage, with this hope, with this love, let us magnify it in the world. Amen? Amen. Amen.